All right, so it's 2025, and I've officially made some pretty dramatic changes to my overall filmmaking and photography and I guess content creation workflow. And that is that I sold pretty much all my Leica stuff. I still have my Leica M6, still love my Leica M6. Sold my Lumix S5 II and as well as just some Canon lens stuff, and I switched completely back to Fujifilm because I was using Fujifilm before, back in 2023, for a little while, and before then for both photo and video. Got obsessed with Lumix stuff, switched over there, and long story short, eventually came back to Fuji. Now, I love Lumix. I love what I was getting from that system, but it was, from my opinion, great for video, not so great for photo. Not meaning that it's not good for photo. I think it's great for photo. It just didn't fit what I was trying to do with it, and I just didn't like the feeling of it at all. And so I wanted to get rid of it and come back to Fuji. On the Leica side of things, Leica's amazing, brilliant, great for photos, but not what I would use at all for video. Plus, it's super expensive. Again, all the Lumix stuff basically went into funding me being able to get a Fuji XT5 and what I'm filming on right now, which is the Fuji X-H2S. And honestly, this was actually pretty affordable switch to come back to Fuji because for the most part, I had everything I needed in terms of a cage for my X-H2S, the right filters and the right cards. Because again, I had had the camera before, and then I also used the same type of media on my Pixis, which is great. And so I was basically able to swap nearly everything and only pay probably $300 or something just for this lens, the 23mm f2, which I really enjoy using on the X-T5. So let's talk about the Fuji system, starting with the X-T5, and honestly why I prefer this for my photography work moving forward. The X-T5 is great. It's a camera that I actually was ignoring completely. Didn't give this any attention. I'm used to using the X100V. I used that back when it was really popular, and then I used my X-H2S for a little while, doing hybrid photo and video when I was doing all my YouTube content. But I ended up getting rid of that and really just leaning heavily into the Leica system. But being able to come back to this is really nice because super flexible. Of course, with Fuji stuff, I love just the complete analog look. But more importantly, I can use this as a hybrid camera if I need to, as a C cam to my Pixis and my X-H2S if I need to. Being able to get 6K video out of it is actually really great. And then just being able to customize it the way I need for the content that I'm creating at my church and just for YouTube and all that, being able to have those 7 different custom modes is like absolutely perfect. I wanted something that's a little more flexible than the X100V because I don't like that I'm kind of limited to the 23mm on that camera, but I do know that you can buy the adapters and put that on there. But being able to just swap these lenses to really anything I want, whether that be hybrid or a vintage lens, anything like that, I can use it on this body. And this setup is actually like pretty minimal, easy to carry around, feels like a really solid EDC camera. I also, again, not looking into this camera too deep, found out that it has a 40 megapixel sensor, which is actually really nice to me, which I ended up using to my advantage today because I needed that extra megapixel range just to be able to crop in for what I was shooting. I do just a big variety of stuff, and this camera kind of just handles it all for me. In comparison, I guess, to the Leica M11, because that's what I was using before, which also has like a pretty high megapixel count. Again, Leica's expensive, those lenses are expensive, and didn't want to break the bank to just be able to have a different variety of lenses for that system. Being able to just have something as cheap as this 16-55, which I actually ended up trading for my Canon 24-70, which is I guess the equivalent to this. Only ended up having to pay $150 for this lens. I'm definitely going to do another video kind of going into just like my settings and how I have this camera set up for photography, being whatever I kind of shoot. But for the most part right now, I only have 2 custom modes that I'm using on the photography side, which is basically Joe Allen's Cozy Chrome, Fuji JPEG recipe, and I shoot everything in RAW, and then a black and white kind of recipe because I like to just shoot and document a lot in black and white. And yeah, just being able to quickly switch between those 2 modes depending on the situation I'm in and just having full manual control like I do with my Leicas and whatnot is really nice, and I really enjoy this. So now on the XH2S side of things, that's the camera I'm actually filming on right now. I adore this camera so much. I missed it so much. I actually wanted to pick this camera up long ago and like have it side by side with the Lumix, but I was just like, that's extremely excessive for what I need. But I really enjoy coming back to this camera for so many different reasons. One of the key and main ones is the CF Express B and the SD card slot. Being able to have the CF Express B card slot be dedicated specifically to video, and then the SD card be dedicated specifically to all my photo needs, and separate those files. It's great, it's huge, especially because I'm doing a lot of just content creation work for myself and for my job. Being able to just keep that little bit of organization just across using the system is really nice. The second thing that I love about this XH2S is the 6K open gate sensor and all the different readout speeds and, you know, the different codecs that you get inside this camera. Now, the S5 IIX, again, because I just came from that camera, is really great, and you can do so much with that camera. I really love that camera, and it's super flexible, and there's a lot of things in that camera that I think this camera should have, and hopefully Fuji, even if they're watching this video, I don't know if they are, will implement into this camera, such as shutter angle, waveform, vector scope, a lot of different things, HDMI, clean feed output with LUTs, you know, all that jazz. But this has much better codecs, and the first time I owned this camera, I actually didn't use this feature, which was the ProRes. Completely forgot that this camera can do ProRes because I just knew those file sizes would be quite massive. But you know, you can record in ProRes LT for honestly anything that's kind of going on social media, Instagram, whatever, YouTube, and it'll be just fine. But being able to have a ProRes workflow with this camera, being able to have a raw output workflow with this camera, really great. All internally, not the raw, but internally the ProRes and stuff is really, really cool. So the third thing that I really love about the XH2S is the 7 different custom modes. Now, the custom modes that I have set up in this camera are actually from the great Joe Allen's YouTube channel. So if you don't follow him or don't know that video, I'll do my best to leave it down in the description below so you guys can check it out. But essentially, for what I do in the content creation I do for work and for YouTube, having the flexibility of those 7 different modes, whether it be vertical video, whether it be just a quick social Instagram thing that needs to be turned around really fast, or just being able to record 6K open gate for whatever I'm doing, is really nice. And then being able to flip to just a few different photography modes, the same that I have set up on my XT5, and just use this one system is really nice. So moving forward, the XH2S is likely going to be like my A camera / B camera setup, depending on what I'm shooting. I use the red Komodo and the Blackmagic Pixis 6K as well, and those cameras record RAW, and not all the time, you know, I need RAW. So being able to have something like this that can get the job done, I have the correct lenses and everything for it, and just have an easily workable file is perfect for me. And the fourth and final thing I really enjoy about this camera is the flexibility in lenses. Now, the lens I'm actually shooting on is new. I haven't tested this lens out too much. This is actually the very first video I'm recording with this, and this is the Viltrox 13mm 1.4. Shout out to Joshua from Cine Dailies for honestly putting me on to this lens, because it's like so wide and amazing. Like, I'm so happy I have all this desk space. You know, I can like have gear or whatever and like talk about that in videos, which I think is like really cool. And if I'm like out on the streets doing a photo vlog or something, I don't have to hold the camera like super far from me. I can hold it like close and still just have like the type of shot that I need. So absolutely just really love that. This lens is amazing. It's going to see a lot of use just on this channel from me. We're on film productions and everything. So that's really great, but really love the flexibility in lenses. I actually just ended up buying this Viltrox speed booster because I just wanted to test it out. I don't need autofocus when it comes to using a speed booster on this camera, because a lot of the vintage lenses that I'll use, or lenses that I'll use, are like my Leica R's or something where I'm just using manual focus. So autofocus isn't a concern for me, but I did want to just test this filter out and get a good idea of just like how it looks. I haven't like shot anything professional or like really a test yet with it. I just kind of like pointed my camera at a few random things around the house, but this is pretty neat. If anything, I might swap it, but honestly, I need like a job to pay for the more expensive ones that are out there. The other lens that I'll be using on, across both cameras is this 16 to 55 2.8. This is the version 1, and it was actually just fairly affordable. Again, didn't have to pay full price, only paid $150 for this, swapping my Canon RF lens for it. That lens I used on my Red Komodo, but this basically gives me the flexibility, obviously, that I would need for getting whatever I'm shooting. So I kind of have just the gamut covered in terms of just lensing for this camera. If I need cinema lenses, I can rent and then adapt those onto this ecosystem. So you may be wondering why go back to the XH2S, why not go to a Sony FX3 or anything else that's out there. I've used literally everything. Back when the Sony FX3 and A7S III was like super popular, I used those cameras heavily and really enjoyed and loved those cameras. But honestly, kind of got bored with those cameras and just the lack of limitations that those cameras hold really kind of just started to bug me and just not excite me anymore. So I really think the XH2S is ahead of its time. It's a future-proof camera. And what I do want to see from a lot of these other brands going forward is open gate. That's a standard nowadays. A lot of people consume and watch or partake in content in that vertical format, and being able to do that with the camera in a horizontal mode and not have to rig it in a vertical mode, it's really nice. What this camera is doing and outputting, honestly, is so much greater than your Sonys, your Canon, your Lumix, whatever else is out there right now. And so this is just the camera that I prefer. Not saying those cameras aren't good. They're amazing for what they do, but I do want to see just some of the things that this camera has in those cameras in their next version. And some of the things, again, like I said, the Lumix has within just this camera, and I'm pretty sure that can be a firmware update. We just seen Fuji just slightly update the XH2S, and I really love that. But at the end of the day, when it comes to just like equipment and what we're using for content, honestly, it doesn't matter that much. What matters most is story. And the biggest part comes with you being fluent with your equipment and just really knowing it so that you can create a seamless experience when you're telling whatever story it is that you're telling. But moving forward, I'm going to be sharing a lot of content on this channel with my cinema cameras and my Fujifilm system and how I'm integrating that into my workflow. So I would definitely love to hear your guys' thoughts and comments below. Definitely like this video and share it just to help it in the algorithm and help my channel grow. Consider subscribing if you're not subscribed at all, and check out some of my older Fujifilm videos. Thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.